Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life.
Gosh, people will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone, so we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural then and now.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
It's Jenny.
And Kristin.
We are here at the top of this, a brand new podcast, to tell you that before there was an episode 1 of the eX-Files covering the pilot, there was in fact an episode 0. Honestly, this sounds like an X-File in itself.
That's right. We're going to crack the case right here in this tiny little ad. Last week, we did a very special live taping where we sat in Jenny's studio together. Can you believe it? Together in Maine. And I made all of my predictions for what I think will happen in the television series, The X-Files, a show I have never before seen.
I asked Kristin for her theories and also found out if she could tell the difference between comic book villains and X-Files characters / case files.
I didn't do that bad.
Honestly, I was impressed.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I owe it all to you and Joanna Robinson for educating me in nerddom. Also, Frank wore a UFO costume. So
that's true, and he looked great doing it.
Mm-hmm.
The recording of the live event is available only until April 2nd, and you can access it by going to bufferingcast.com/stream. Get yourself an eye full of us and Frank.
We're also wearing costumes.
We are.
Do you believe in the existence of extraterrestrials?
Logically, I would have to say no. Given the distances needed to travel from the far reaches of space, the energy requirements would exceed a spacecraft's capabilities.
Conventional wisdom. You know this Oregon female. She's the 4th person in her graduating class to die under mysterious circumstances. Now, when convention and science offer us no answers, might we not finally turn to the fantastic as a plausibility?
Welcome to the X-Files. That's the eX-Files, a buffering rewatch adventure where we are watching and discussing every episode of the X-Files, one by one, spoiler-free. I am Jenny Owen Youngs, ex-wife of Kristin Russo, and I grew up watching the X-Files.
And I'm Kristin Russo, ex-wife of Jenny Owen Youngs, and I've only seen one episode of the X-Files. Today, we're talking about Season 1, Episode 1, Pilot.
Pilot was written by Chris Carter, directed by Robert Mandel, and originally aired on September 10th, 1993.
Woo! A long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one, according to IMDb, where Agent Dana Scully is instructed to debunk an FBI project dubbed the X-Files, paranormal cases that have been reopened by Agent Fox Mulder.
Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop. We are working with God's gift to production and the one super being who knows all about the history of television, producer LaToya Ferguson, the flower of our hearts.
Truly.
LaToya is also watching the series for the first time.
Just like me.
But LaToya is very scared. So for listeners who are also scared, if you lean scared, LaToya is going to be giving us a scary rating that we'll share with you at the top of every episode. So you know how many fingers you can peek between as you watch the screen, or if you have to keep your fingers all the way together in front of your eyes. LaToya gives Pilot 2.5 out of 5 gray metallic implants on the scary scale, and 2 of those points go to Billy's creepy ass, and the remaining 0.5 of those points go to the markings, the telltale twin red bumps.
I mean, honestly, like, I know we just hopped off of the vampire train, but I was surprised nobody suggested vampires for these markings.
I know, right? Mulder, I mean, while you're there, you're in for a goose, you're in for the gander. What do people say? You're in for a penny, you're in for a pound.
The girl with 2 pennies, Jenny, that's what they say. They say, that girl, yes, she's always got 2 pennies.
Yep, that's what they say. LaToya also notes, I also believe Mulder doesn't know what mosquito bites look like, which is fair.
Which is fair. Honestly, they don't look like mosquito bites. Like, I mean, I'm sure that Scully's fine, but they didn't look like mosquito bites to me.
No.
Wow. Well, Jenny.
Here we are.
Here we fucking
Standing right at the on the razor's edge, just gazing out into the yawning abyss of yet another many-seasoned 90s genre television show of iconic proportions.
What is it? 200 and... What did I say?
Just enough. There are just enough.
So many.
There are simply enough episodes.
And like, you know, it's a particular thing to start this podcast because when we started buffering the Vampire Slayer, we were like, doop-a-doop-a-doo. And now, like, we're like, okay, so wow, we were like doop-a-doop-a-doo into talking about a television show. And then like a million things in our life happened and changed and shifted. 6 years passed. And there we were as like 2 completely different people. So I feel like starting this right now, I'm like, very aware, you know? I'm just like, whoa, what is going to happen? What will unfold in the next 14 years of our lives?
Only time will tell. Hopefully neither of us will be abducted.
That's true. All right, so I guess we should start at the beginning, which is a title card that says that this, Jenny, was inspired by actual documented accounts.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple things. Before we get that card, we get the X-Files logo and no credits and no theme music. Don't worry. We'll have those in the next episode and we can talk about them then. I can't wait. Now, the following story is inspired by actual documented accounts. Card was partially included due to Fox Network's desire for the show to be portrayed as realistically as possible because reality TV was one of the most popular kinds of TV at the time. The Real World was going strong on MTV. And actually, Fox had a show called Sightings, which started in 1991, which was a paranormal focused news show.
That news show. That sounds very familiar, actually, Sightings. Clearly, The Real World. What is The Real World in maybe season 2? The Real World was 1992, their first season. Is that right? Yeah. Wow. It reminded me, too, of like, I mean, I'm not a person who's seen a lot of procedural shows, but I feel like procedural shows and like all of that always are like inspired by actual events. It's like one time a woman was assaulted by a man. This is taken from that story. Yeah, very loose.
There's some kind of appeal. There's some kind of added appeal when you get that when you get that overlay of like, this kind of sort of happened. And, you know, this was 1993. Like, There wasn't a ton of this kind of stuff on television.
Right.
And there wasn't like the internet was like just getting started. So like, it felt, I feel like this show felt a lot scarier.
You couldn't Google X-Files based on what ?
Yeah, exactly. When I read that the network wanted that included, it reminded me of the Blair Witch Project, which didn't come out until 1999, so we're still 6 years away from that. But it's sort of like, for those of you who weren't members of the movie-going public at the time that the Blair Witch Project was released, it was marketed as a documentary. Part of the marketing plan involved missing posters featuring those actors. It was a whole thing. And the internet, again, was still just like kind of getting going. So it wasn't like you could definitively find debunking sources.
Yeah, I mean,
which added this whole extra layer to how creepy and disturbing that movie was at the time.
Totally. I'm pretty sure that I thought it was real. Like, I'm pretty sure that maybe not for the entire time, but like there was at least a window of time where I was like, I can't believe they found this footage, like this is fucking crazy. We live in a wild time.
Yeah, I went into, the first time I saw it in the theater, I went in thinking that like 80% that it was like legit.
Yeah,
which is now looking back absolutely ridiculous.
Well, maybe a lot of the viewing public really thought that there was a Scully and a Mulder. Literally, I would have in 1993.
Well, I feel like I don't know if this is just a my household situation, but when X-Files hit, right up there with my biggest concerns of like lava, earthquakes, my house burning down, being convicted of a murder I didn't commit, was UFOs and being abducted by aliens. Like it felt like it was everywhere in the culture. Again, maybe I was just in more of a sci-fi heavy household, but like I was very concerned and like definitely absorbing a lot of this kind of story and very freaked out about what could happen.
No, I was not in a sci-fi household at all, and I definitely was very aware of the possibility that I might be abducted by aliens. I think that was like massively in culture in the United States in the early 90s. Massively. Also, this is not alien related, but watching this, so I was not a person who watched Twin Peaks. I mean, clearly I wasn't a person who watched Twin Peaks when it was on. I mean, I think it was canceled in 1991, so I was only 11, but I didn't watch it until fairly recently. And I just rewatched some of it, and watching that right next to rewatching the pilot of the X-Files, I was like, wow, there's a lot of similarity between these two shows. Like we're in the same area of the country. There's a dead girl in the opening. There's, you know what I mean? Like it just had like very, very similar vibes, which is interesting given the fact that Twin Peaks, although now it's like a cult classic, it didn't last for very long.
Yeah. You've also got David Duchovny in Twin Peaks.
Yes.
And we'll see some folks, some other cast members coming over in future episodes as well. Kristin, my number one takeaway from this episode is that I don't ever want to be a girl in a nightgown stumbling through the woods at night. And I don't ever want to enter a swirling vortex while I'm being approached by a mysterious silhouette. No, thank you. Unsubscribe.
Listen, this is nothing against folks who wear nightgowns, but like, I just never want to be a girl in a nightgown. Because honestly, I feel like wearing a nightgown ups your chances of something terrifying happening to you by like at least 50%. That's my math.
Yeah. Yes. I feel like pants, much better at keeping out, I don't know, bugs or something.
Yeah. Bugs, aliens.
Feel like when, at a time in my life when I was sleeping in nightgowns, another one of my biggest concerns was bugs in my bed. I had one dream one time that a witch was putting bugs. No offense to our witch listenership, but I was young and impressionable.
Yeah.
And then a witch was putting bugs into the foot of my bed, like lifting up the comforter and just
It's
putting
like
bugs by my feet.
I feel like you've told me that, told me and also like perhaps the buffering listenership about that once before, and it still really knocked me the fuck over. I don't like it.
Sorry.
Did you wake up, or did you have to just like sit there with the bugs in your nightgown?
I never woke up, Kristin. This is all the last 6 years and beyond. Have all been but a dream.
Poor LaToya made it through the fucking first episode of the X-Files, the television show, and now the eX-Files. We're gonna fucking terrify her in here too. Get out of here.
Well,
all right. So yeah, there's a girl in a nightgown, and this is Billy, right? By the end, there's Billy that's coming into the woods.
Yes, that's Billy.
Billy, White Light, and Karen. That's how we open, and she is killed. But Billy goes back to the psych hospital where no one notices that he's been out walking around in the forest.
Yeah, the next morning she's found by local officials, Detective Miles and Coroner Truitt. Detective Miles recognized her as Karen Swenson and notes that she went to school with his son. And Coroner Truitt says, "Class of '89? It's happening again?" Alerting us, the audience, that this is not an isolated incident.
Yeah. Ruh-roh is right. I was a class of 98, which is if you just flip those numbers around, you know.
That's correct. Good numbers, Kristin.
Okay, 2 questions for you, Jenny. One, Detective Miles. This is the same person who also introduces himself as the sheriff, right? Is the sheriff the detective? Is that one and the same?
I believe he actually says he's with the sheriff's department.
Oh, okay. And the second thing that I wanted to talk about in this scene, apart from clearly the 2 marks, are it's always nosebleeds. I feel like no matter what genre, I mean, not no matter what genre, but like we're in horror, we're in sci-fi. Like, what is it about a fucking nosebleed that it, like, why is it the thing? I mean, I know that it's the probe here, the thing, what do you call it? You know, the little metal guy that's maybe causing the nosebleeds, yes. But still, like, what? I just feel like there's something in our brains, no pun intended, that like makes a nosebleed especially terrifying.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's literally because it's so close to our brain.
So it's like a signal of death.
Yeah, there's definitely a looming threat.
Of all the places you want to bleed from, maybe your brain is lowest on the list.
The farther away you're bleeding from your brain, probably the better.
Okay.
Let's go, if we dare, to FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C., where Special Agent Dana Scully is reporting for duty. Get a load of these glossy auburn locks, this suit, the shoulder pads. She's ready to play some football.
Jenny, I refer to this in my notes as the jacket heard round the world.
Fair.
Now, I've only seen 1 episode. I do know that Scully wears multiple suit jackets, but I just cannot imagine that she will top this one. This is a jacket that is 5 times the size of her body. Gillian Anderson, like, my most recent memory of Gillian Anderson is watching Sex Education. And I don't know if she was always in heels or what, but when I saw her standing next to David Duchovny, I was like, she's so little. She's 5'3", you said? 5'3"?
She's 5'3". According to the internet, she's 5'3", and David is 6 foot. We will see, or perhaps not see, but be generally aware as we move through the series of the Scully box, as it's called, which is a little wooden crate that Jillian stands on for close-up, face-to-face shots between her and David.
Did they call it the Scully box when Buffy was using it for scenes when Sarah Michelle Gellar was using it for scenes with Angel, or was it?
No, they did not.
Then it was the Buffy box.
You'd have to ask somebody
on set.
I can't believe we didn't think to ask anyone that in 6 years.
Yeah. Okay, so producer LaToya Ferguson also wrote about this. I'm sure that you had notes on this, Jenny. As a first-time viewer, this just came to me as a kid of the 90s. Was the second I saw her, after I clutched my chest and gasped at all of the queer feelings that I have and will continue to have about Gillian Anderson, I was like, this is Clarice Starling from Silence of the Lambs. This is Jodie Foster. This whole look, the whole vibe. It's just like very, very much that. And according to producer LaToya Ferguson, who does very, very detailed research, the look and in fact the inspiration for the personality of Scully in this first episode was based on that. LaToya wrote, basically it's, what if Clarice Starling had crackling repartee with a partner instead of an old man serial killer? Which I thought was a delightful question.
Yes, this show answers that question.
It does.
2-hour delight.
So also in this scene, we see one of only 2 non-white people in the entire episode. Scully talks to the receptionist here. And because that is very interwoven with a larger examination of where Fox, not Mulder, but the network is at this time related to this show, we are going to have producer and TV expert LaToya Ferguson in for a segment later in this episode to talk about this, because who better qualified than she who knows all about TV history?
Yeah, so hang in there for LaToya's Lair, which will be coming in hot in a little while.
Segment name chosen by LaToya herself.
This pilot is bursting with exposition. We are being told a lot of information. In addition to the actual plot of what's happening, we're getting a lot of who is Mulder, who is Scully. Here we get Scully telling the higher-ups at the FBI what she knows about Mulder, which is that he's an Oxford-educated psychologist. He wrote a monograph on serial killers and the occult that helped catch Monty Props in 1988. And he was generally thought of as the best analyst in the violent crimes section.
Yeah, and his nickname was Spooky Mulder, so...
Right.
There's that.
Right. Because he's obsessed with this secret cache of paranormal and unexplained cases called the eX-Files.
Oh.
The muckety mucks at the FBI have had enough of alien cowboy Mulder, and they're assigning Scully to be his official skeptical partner.
Yeah. I also felt like the questions that the FBI dudes were asking Scully were very similar to some of the questions you asked me, to get you to tell me everything I knew. Have you heard of Fox Mulder? Do you know what the X-Files are? I was like, hey, I have to answer these questions too. But yeah, their relationship is predetermined by the FBI. And also, you're going to love this, Jenny, but this is the 3rd time that I watched this pilot episode. The last time I watched it, 3rd time. And this time I was like, oh my God, that man is smoking. That man is the smoking man. It took me 3 episodes. I mean, not 3 episodes, 3 watches of the same episode to realize that the smoking man, the infamous smoking man, was here all along.
Well, give yourself a break. It was 1993. All kinds of people were smoking cigarettes all the time.
That's true. That's why I didn't pick up on it. But I picked up on it before the taping of this pilot. Thank God.
So Scully's heading down to Mulder's basement office. There are, no lights in this hallway. This is the hallway that the FBI forgot. And as she knocks on his door, here's what Fox Mulder has to say. Scully is like what I imagine it's like to be a gal who went on a Tinder date with a gentleman and is like, let's see what his apartment is like. She is taking in the UFO posters. She is taking in the photos of bones and skulls and the general clutter. She's probably, questioning her choices, the choices that led her here.
I don't know. I mean, one of my first notes in this scene is in all caps, and it is, they are already in love. So
that's also true. 2 things can be true at once, Kristin.
That's true. What do you think? We all know the I Want to Believe poster as originating from the X-Files, the television show, but what do you think, like, where do you think Mulder got the poster? Who made the poster that he purchased for his office is, like, what a question I'm going to go into the series with.
Yeah, did it come from Spencer Gifts, perhaps?
Yeah, that would make sense. Was it already kicking in 93? I guess it was.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So Mulder studied Scully before she got there, which is interesting because I feel like if they're sending Scully to, like, observe Mulder, that, like, they wouldn't have told him that she was, you know what I mean? They wouldn't have been like, so this is her name and she's coming to, like, watch you and take notes on you. But apparently he knew because he has read her papers and learned all about her.
I think if you're getting a partner assigned to you, the partner isn't going to show up and tell you that they're your partner now. You're going to hear something from the grown-ups.
I guess that's true. I'm a little bit confused. Maybe you have more. Maybe I just misunderstood some of it. But I think something that I was trying to parse through is when the FBI agents were talking to Scully, they were like, this is what he does. But then also, like, in his free time, he does this other shit. So I was like, so is this sanctioned work? Because if Scully's being sent to, like, observe him, then I guess it has to be kind of sanctioned. Jenny has the look on her face of, like, boy, do you have a lot to learn.
No. I think it's, like, gray and it's, like, not defined and it's something that is just, like, a little peculiar. I just rewatched the whole first season in preparation for our little adventure here. And there are definitely moments where I'm like, can't they just, like... If they don't want him to do it, I feel like they could just, like, make sure that he doesn't do it.
Right.
But yeah, it's he's not in violent crimes anymore. He's just down here in his basement office with his little X-Files. One of the things that he learned about Scully in his research is that she is a medical doctor, bringing our count of how many times anyone has said that Scully is a medical doctor in the series to 1. We are now at ding, 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 1 time, 1 medical doctor. And we're going to keep that counter running. Medical doctor. Oh, yeah. She's a medical doctor.
Wow. I just want everyone to know that in the pre-production document, Jenny had written MDC 1 FM. And I was like, what the fuck is this note? And she was like, can't tell you yet. So I'm just learning. Yeah. Medical doctor count is 1, and it is Fox Mulder who said it.
That's right.
Okay, great. Just I'm happy over here with my little decoder.
Kristen, are you a visual learner?
Yes, big time.
That's good because Fox Mulder has prepared this. I don't think this is too much of a spoiler to say this is not going to be his last slideshow.
I mean, if you had a tiny little light box like that, wouldn't you prepare many slideshows?
No, I know. If I had a skeptical partner to convince, I'd be like, Scully, check this shit out. Click. Voiceover. Click. He's got pics of Karen Swenson's marks, and he tells Scully, the autopsy turned up absolutely nothing. Then he brings up a scientific diagram of an organic chemical compound. Mm-hmm. I hope that all the words that I just said are correct. And he's like, how's your chemistry? And neither one of them has ever seen this compound before, but it showed up on Karen Swenson's body and click, click. This body in another part of the country and click, click. Wow. This party and they all have the little vampire bites.
It's like vampire children made these bites. Small mouth. The teeth are close together.
Yeah.
Jenny, I realized that in Buffering the Vampire Slayer, you really sort of took charge of PowerPoint presentations. And what I'm realizing is that we're probably going to need to invest in a proper slide projector so that you can
we're going to need an overhead projector in here stat.
Yeah, so a note to any future venues that host us in person, part of our rider will be a 1990s 1980s, 70s slide projector. Thank you. And Jenny, we'll have to figure out how to make oldie-timey slides for your slideshows.
Sure.
I know that this is not like the most important information, although maybe it is. But Scully's paper was on the twin paradox, Einstein's theory of the twin paradox. So I was like, what is that? I don't know that I think half of it will make sense to you, and half of it won't. At least that was my ratio. But I'm just going to read to you what the twin paradox is, okay?
I'm ready.
In physics, the twin paradox is a thought experiment. In special relativity, it involves identical twins, one of whom makes a journey into space in a high-speed rocket and returns home to find that the twin who remained on Earth has aged more. This is where I start getting confused. I'm like, okay, one twin in a rocket, one twin at home. I got you so far. This result appears puzzling because each twin sees the other twin as moving. And so as a consequence of an incorrect and naive application of time dilation and the principle of relativity, each should paradoxically find the other to have aged less. One more sentence. However, this scenario can be resolved within the standard framework of special relativity. The traveling twin's trajectory involves two different inertial frames, one for the outbound journey and one for the inbound journey. How you doing, Jenny?
Yeah, so this is a podcast about the X-Files, a television show. And I can handle that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what...
Mostly I had a blast because when I looked it up and it started with like, the twin paradox is about twins. One's in a rocket and one's on Earth. I was like, oh, fun. Anyway, we get we started the whole pilot episode here with this sound clip that happens next, where Mulder asks what seems to be an important question to begin the show. Do you believe in extraterrestrials? Jenny,
Scully says logically no, but what about like just going off vibes, Dana?
Well, I love that she says logically I'd say no, because to me, a new viewer, that says a lot about Scully. Like she's not saying no. She's saying logically. These are the reasons why like science tells me I shouldn't believe. But ellipses, right?
Yeah.
Wait, but Jenny, hold on. Do you believe in extraterrestrials? I'm asking you.
Oh,
do
me?
You? Yes, I'm asking
me. You know, it seems this is where I would say in the other direction, logically, it seems like, yeah.
Agree.
Right? It seems like what the universe is that vast, but it's just us. Right. We're the only life forms that developed anywhere. Seems shaky.
Yeah, and what's interesting now that you say that is that Scully says logically I'd have to say no, and the reason that she continues and she's like, because to get here, like it's not actually right, like
oh yeah, that's not about existence.
It's not about existence.
Scully, that's just about like commuting.
Exactly, because I feel the same way. Like, how dare we think that we are the only like beings in the entire universe? That would be wild. That doesn't make any sense. So it sounds to me like she believes in them, but she just doesn't believe they could get here. I believe both. I believe they exist, and I believe they can come anytime they want.
And if you're listening, please don't. Thank you.
And like, I'm peaceful, so just be chill. Don't make my nose bleed, okay? Thank you.
Scully also says the girl obviously died of something, which is how you know she's a medical doctor.
I love this Mulder line. Like, when convention and science offer no answers, might we turn to the fantastic? He's not saying go there. Like, he's saying, like, I checked the math, I checked the science. Doesn't add up. So now I'm checking the fantastic. And I'm finding lots of answers there.
I feel like maybe it's just because they just met, but probably more like because it's the pilot episode. Mulder is like a little bit more intense and like monologue-y about the existence of extraterrestrials in this episode than he definitely dips down and like rides a smooth plateau for the rest of the of the season, and he's like slightly, just like ever so slightly, even though I still fully endorse and I'm completely on board, he's just like slightly condescending to Scully in some places, or like a little extra combative, which also does not last past the pilot.
That checks out to me a little bit, again, as a first-time viewer, just because I'm sure that Mulder's entire existence is just, like, people telling him he's full of shit. And so, like, by the end of this episode, like, he has clearly learned that Scully is there to do what she says she's there to do later in the episode, right? Like, she is literally there to learn and to try to solve the cases. Like, she's not there just to make him a fool and to, like, you know, find all the things she needs to put on paper to say, like, this guy, you know, spooky Mulder at it again. And so, you know, he probably just has way more trust for her by the end of this first episode. And it makes him interact with her differently.
Yeah.
Before we go to the plane ride, Jenny, and maybe you were going to say this as well, but he says to her that tomorrow they're going to leave for the very plausible state of Oregon, because she's talking about how she needs like plausible shit and facts and whatever. And I love it. And then most importantly, her smile. I screamed at the end of this scene.
Best friends.
She loves
They're having a good time. They're going on a
her.
trip together.
Oh.
On the airplane to Oregon, Scully just casually flipping through obituaries of various members of the class of 89. Mm-hmm. There's extreme turbulence. And apparently when there's turbulence, skeptics clutch the armrest.
Yeah.
And believers quip dryly, "This must be the place."
Yeah, Mulder's a little too cozy. I mean, because we've flown on a lot of planes betwixt the two of us. And like, this is some extreme turbulence. This is terrifying. I was like, at first I thought this was a dream sequence, to be honest with you. Because I was like, well, I know they don't die in a plane crash. And I know that I'm not watching the television series Lost or Yellow Jackets. So like, it's probably a dream that Scully is having. But no, it was just regular turbulence. And yeah, they really paint the picture of these two by the way they respond to imminent death. This is also where Scully reads about Dr. Nemen. She's putting it together that Dr. Nemen has done some of the autopsies, but not all of the autopsies, because Scully is very smart.
Yeah, and plus she's a medical doctor, so she's really tuned into who the medical examiner would be. Okay. In the rental car, Mulder snacking on sunflower seeds. This won't be the last time you see Mulder snacking on sunflower seeds.
Just throwing those shells out the window? Just organic matter?
Hey, they're organic.
Yeah.
That's like, now there's an organic compound.
He's having a blast. He's making jokes about the last agents who were sent there. They just had some fucking local salmon and they closed the case when they came home. Like, it sounds like they left in a... I mean, he doesn't say this. Agent Kristin Russo says this, but it sounds like they left in a hurry or something happened.
Yeah. Or just like the plug got pulled. Mm-hmm. This is where they talk a little bit about those medical examiners, because the first 3 members of the class of 89 who died had autopsies that show no unidentified marks or tissue samples, but those were signed by medical examiner Nemen, unlike the autopsy of Karen Swenson. Don't worry, Mulder has arranged for a very fun, ice-breaking activity for their first trip together. They're going to exhume some graves.
Yeah. This is actually what Jenny and I did before starting the podcast, just to like break the ice.
Team building exercise,
Yeah, and just as he says that, we get my closed captioning say audio feedback. I loved the amount of like audio feedback and what is it? Metallic clanking? Is that the other very common closed captioning? But yeah, something fucking happens in this car.
The car goes haywire. Mulder pulls over and, as you do, goes into his trunk, gets out some spray paint, and spray paints a big red X on the side of the road, then gazes meaningfully into the sky.
But also, it just occurs to me that they flew to Oregon, which means that Mulder either flew with his spray paint and put it, because that has to be a rental car, right? So he's either...
Yes, it's a rental car. It's 1993, different times. I'm sure he just had it in his check luggage.
He was like, you know what? Some pants, fucking my Georgetown baseball hat, and my can of red spray paint.
Just the essentials.
Yeah. He marks it with an X, just like X-Files, but X on the
sidewalk.
X
for X-Files.
Scully's like, what was that? And he, like, I don't think that he's actually condescending to her. Like, I think he's just playing, like, in this part anyway, because he's like, no, you know, probably nothing. He's very confident. He's a very confident man. He really knows that by the end of the pilot episode, Scully might have some doubts.
Okay, they're about to do a little friendship grave digging when who should arrive but medical examiner Jay Neman.
He's so mad. He's so mad, Jenny. He is like, I don't know. I mean, I know he doesn't want this to happen, but also sometimes when you approach people like with a little less anger at first, you have better results. So a tip to Dr. Neman, maybe don't come out of your car screaming.
Yeah. Yes, catch flies with honey, sir. So the person they're exhuming today is Ray Soames. He was the third victim. He confessed to the murders of the other 2 teens from the class of 89 who died before him, but then he couldn't produce any actual evidence that he had murdered them. So, yeah.
He just wanted to be locked up so that he couldn't get taken by the aliens. Poor Ray.
As if that would stop them, Ray. And according to the autopsy, he died of exposure. He was only missing for 7 hours on an evening in July.
Yeah.
So that seems weird.
Like, are the aliens turning people into aliens? I know that we're not to that section yet where I talk about my feelings on theories, but like, what is happening here? Anyway, continue, Jenny.
I noticed that Mulder calls Scully Dr. Scully many times in this episode, and I don't think that ever happens again after right now.
So,
oopsie daisy. This is so embarrassing. You know when your one job is to operate the big piece of machinery that lifts the casket out of the ground and then whoops, butterfingers.
Man.
You drop it and it rolls and cracks against a headstone.
The coroner's like, this isn't how it usually goes. Or whoever that guy is. He's so embarrassed. And then the casket, it hits another headstone. It opens, and Mulder very intelligently runs over to crack open that baby. And Jenny, that's where I write the note in all caps. A stinky alien baby.
What?
A stinky alien baby is what I decided. This was a stinky. It smells. We know that. They're all holding their noses. This is an alien, and it is a small alien. Maybe all of the aliens are small. I don't know. But this is a stinky alien baby.
Okay. Thank God you're here.
I'm here. I'm also a medical doctor. So
do you think, yes, clearly, do you think it smells any worse than like any other body in a state of decay that was just exhumed?
I don't know. But maybe it does smell a little bit worse because we know that Scully hasn't done this before. She's talked about the fact that she's never she's never examined a dead body or dug a grave. But I feel like this can't be Mulder's first time, and he seems very moved by the smell. So I would say it's more powerful. Aliens decomposing smells probably just different than humans decomposing, but Mulder is not accustomed. Mulder's never seen a decomposing alien, I think.
He's certainly not behaving like someone who's ever seen a decomposing alien before. So they take this critter to the local medical facility, right? And Scully is just trying to perform an autopsy while Mulder is butting in repeatedly with his long lens, snapping a zillion photographs.
He's just excited, you know? He's just so excited.
I know.
I can't wait until the car turns off later because I have never seen a human being so excited in my whole life as Mulder gets then. But we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Jenny, does the FBI measure in centimeters? Because like most of the world measures in using the metric system. Because Scully measures this alien baby in centimeters, and we're in the United States, so I'm just wondering if that's because the FBI, just does it globally. So if you're in the FBI, will you let us know? Do you measure in centimeters?
Or if you're a doctor,
a medical doctor
specifically, if you could let us know, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Scully thinks this is a monkey.
Yep.
An orangutan.
Mammalian. Orangutan. She says tang, right? Orangutan. Anyway.
Welcome to the podcast.
Mulder wants to do x-rays and like a bunch of tests. And then he says, I have the same doubts that you do. And I feel like
Does he?
Yeah. Maybe I had the same doubts you do. I once had, but I don't think he currently has.
No, he seems pointed in an altogether different direction.
Yeah. Oh my God. I scream so much in the next scene in my notes, just screaming the whole way down.
Back at the hotel?
Oh, yeah.
Motel? Holiday Inn?
But, yeah.
They found something in the casket critter's nasal cavity. It's some kind of metal cylindrical device.
Oh, really thought you were going to say doodad.
I have doohickey in my notes.
Okay, great.
Scully is gazing upon it. She's surrounded by x-rays of the head with the device still in the nasal cavity. She's taped them up to lampshades. She's really settling in to this motel. Mulder comes by and says he's going out for a night run. He's too excited to sleep, Kristin.
My notes are she loves him, his running outfit, his hat backwards, her big t-shirt. Those are my screaming notes. I'm just so excited about this moment. I love it. I want them to kiss. I know it's not time yet, but I already want it. Is that a face of like, yet? Who said they kiss?
Yeah.
Well, in my mind, they can kiss as much as I want them to.
Okay.
Also, this is like total sidebar, but I just feel like as a medical examiner, Scully would not have these like very long but some short fingernails that like have like some dirt, some stuff under them. Like I feel in question about her fingernails in this scene. That's all. It was a little sidebar.
I did not see them.
All right. Well, before we get to more hotel time, we have to go to the psych hospital where we learn that this doctor has treated a lot of the members of the class of 1989, including Ray. And he's got 2 patients right upstairs. They've been there for 4 years, Billy and Peggy.
So Billy is described as being in a waking coma. So he's non-communicative, non-responsive. Peggy's using a wheelchair, and when the agents come up to the room, Peggy is reading to him. Mulder finds a way to make sure they get a look at Peggy's lower back to see if she's got the marks, and she does.
I mean, he suggests an exam, but that makes Peggy get a bloody nose and absolutely lose her shit. She does not want an exam.
And his strategy worked perfectly.
but okay, well, I just was like, he just wanted an exam, but why does why does she not want an exam? Like, what? Or is it the aliens don't want her to be examined, so they like trigger her brain plug?
Well, if she's been abducted and examined, she probably just would prefer not to be examined in general.
And then whenever anybody gets afraid about anything, if they've already been abducted and they have a plug in their nose, they get a bloody nose.
A plug in their nose.
What is it called?
An implant.
An implant. Implant, brain plug, nose plug, potato.
Sure.
And in this scene, we get the word vegetative state. And we also hear about Peggy being in a wheelchair, but some fucking ableist languages in this episode, sadly not surprising. It's the 90s. We hear Peggy referred to as wheelchair bound. clearly, in talking about somebody who uses a wheelchair, the way to talk about that is somebody using a wheelchair, making them the active person, not making the wheelchair the thing that is sort of like what they are being described in relation to. And obviously referring to, we don't get it here. Here he says vegetative state, but later this nurse is like making actual vegetable jokes, which clearly is not okay. Completely dehumanizes the person that you're talking about, et cetera, et cetera. So just calling that out. Also, I'm really excited, Jenny, because I'm about to call for my very first sound cue that I've asked to be a part of this podcast. For significant eye contact.
What is the context?
Well, they see the marks. Like, Scully sees that the marks are there. And this is, Jenny, this is not a slideshow. This is real life. She's standing there. She fucking sees those marks. Science says that her eyeballs see those marks. So she scientifically has now proven that those marks exist. And she looks at Mulder like, oh, shit. And Mulder's like, yeah, I fucking told you. Significant eye contact.
When they get out into the hallway, Mulder's like, you're not ready for what I believe.
You can't handle the truth.
Have you ever thought about alien abduction? Mulder and Scully are like, anything can happen in the woods. Into the woods they go. It's the only place they can go. It's just the next logical step in this adventure. Mulder's compass going absolutely berserk.
Love his pocket
Scully?
compass.
Scully finds some gray, like, ash or dirt on the ground, and she's just putting handfuls of it into her pocket. Sure.
And if she loses the coat, don't worry, there'll be plenty underneath her fingernails for everybody.
Yeah.
So.
And they're just having the time of their lives, but then bad vibe Detective Miles shows up and tells them to GTFO.
Mechanical whirring in a bright light, but this time it's the detective's truck. So don't worry. Love that fake out. Everybody watching the show is like, the aliens. No, not yet. It's the same noise and the same kind of light, but this time it's not the aliens. Also, I would like to call out that I believe this is the first appearance of flashlights, and though I may not know a lot about this television show, I do think that they are a very important part of the show, especially given that our logo includes them. So, hey guys, welcome to the show.
Hell yes. So good to have you, flashlights.
Also, is Scully wearing khakis? Because that seems like a really poor choice for going into the woods.
Well, you know, Scully, I don't think, goes into the woods very often in the course of her investigations.
All right, something for me to pay attention to. As she goes into the woods more and more, does she stop wearing khakis? Will she learn?
Yeah.
Also, I just think that the cinematography in this scene is really beautiful. There's like a really amazing use of light where it's like hitting the rain in the background of the scene at the open. And then it's sort of like you catch it in the flashlight beam. It's really fucking cool. And I'm sure we'll get more of that in this show. But for me, the first time viewer, I was just like, oh, fuck yeah. We have some fucking good people doing lighting and cinematography in this show as well. So that's exciting.
Yeah, and rain provided free of charge and with some frequency, courtesy of ongoing shooting location, Vancouver.
Vancouver comes with rain. Uh-huh. I don't know if you're moving us to the scene in the car, Jenny, but if you are, I just would like to also congratulate Mulder on doing a fucking incredible job of reversing backwards through the trees. Hot.
Yeah. Would not necessarily have guessed it, but happy to see it.
If I may brag for one moment, the other day I was in Brooklyn and I had to get my car from the illegal parking spot that it was in to a spot that had just opened up. But behind me, a UPS truck was double parked. So I had to get my car out of its spot between the UPS truck and the other parked cars and then back into the parking spot that existed. And Jenny, I am here to tell you that I did it in one move. Like, I didn't even reposition the car to parallel park it once I got past the UPS truck. I went right past the UPS truck and pulled right into my spot. So
Congrats.
I know that
Incredible
right now
stuff.
you're calling me the Scully, but like maybe I've got a little Mulder in me.
Okay. Okay. Well, Kristin, while you were maneuvering this car so deftly, was anyone holding a handful of gray earth and ash in front of your face, imploring you, look at this dirt I picked up off the ground and put in my pockets? Scully's explanation is, I think something's going on out here. Some kind of sacrifice, maybe.
Yeah, cult related. I mean, at least she's getting there quickly, you know? Mulder and this fucking pocket compass. It's like my favorite thing in the world. I love his little compass.
He needs to know where he's going, or if, you know, he's in a situation where compasses simply don't work because there are aliens.
Also, I think we're setting down something that probably will be important in this podcast, which is that I say compass and you say compass. Is that true?
Yep, that's true.
Yeah. So, you know, we'll at some point in the journey, we'll do a poll. We'll say if you say compass or compass and who you think is right. Because this podcast is about winning, okay? Who's going to win?
I think this podcast has room enough for both pronunciations.
That's actually kind of a great segue, because I would actually say that there might be room for at least 3 of us inside of this podcast.
Who could the third be? I'm excited.
Well, her name is LaToya, and the segment, it starts with an L too.
LaToya's Lair. Imagine, if you will, a great and powerful dragon perched atop treasure, rolling hills of treasure as far as the eye can see, except rather than doubloons and gemstones and mithril armor and dwarven smithed weapons. Rather, LaToya perches atop a vast accumulated knowledge about all things television, great and small. LaToya knows them all.
Wow.
Dragons, I just picture dragons as like rhyming, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Pete's dragon for sure, and LaToya's dragon, definitely.
Nice.
LaToya's Lair, LaToya's Lair. Hear the whisper, Mom, I'm scared. You can enter if you dare. Welcome to LaToya's Lair.
Welcome to my lair. I was thinking of doing some strange Vincent Price impression, and then I gave up midway through so I apologize already. That's what you can expect here. Just a lot of apologizing from me. Hello, fair listeners, to the X-Files, EX. As I'm sure Kristin and Jenny have noted, if not, you'll learn here, I am watching the X-Files for the first time along with Kristin. And unlike Kristin, though, I am terrified of this, so I'm doing this because of friendship. But an interesting thing about the X-Files is the television landscape at the time for the 1993-94 television season, specifically on Fox, the network of choice. Here were the other shows that premiered the same season, just to give you a real taste of things. In terms of cult classic one-season shows, you probably have heard of The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. It was paired with The X-Files on Friday nights in 1993. I don't know if you're like me and would watch the reruns of the show, even though it's one-season show on TNT before school, but it was a good time. Fox put more of its money into promoting this over X-Files, and yet I'm pretty sure more people have heard of The X-Files over Briscoe County Jr. No offense to Briscoe County Jr., a great kind of steampunk Western show. This was also the first season of Living Single, a huge sitcom for Fox. Some say the television show Friends stole the premise. Some might be right. Then we had Monty, and this was Fox's attempt at a contemporary All in the Family with Henry Winkler as the show's version of Archie Bunker. We've got South Central, co-created by Ralph Farquhar, who co-created Moesha and its spinoff, The Parkers. Models, Inc., the one-season infamous Melrose Place spinoff starring Carrie-Anne Moss, Garcelle Bouvet, and Angels, Stephanie Romanoff. The Sinbad Show, starring comedian Sinbad. One season, and to some, for reasons I will discuss in just a moment, the expected hit of this Fox television season, Bakersfield PD, a one-season single-cam comedy starring Giancarlo Esposito. You might be thinking, didn't they also have In Living Color on Fox at the time? And they did. Fox was a fledgling network at the time, only 8 years old. On Mondays, it didn't even try to compete with the reigning shows on television at the time, like Coach on ABC, or the new show, The Nanny on CBS, or on NBC, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, or Blossom. So on Mondays, they had just a movie night. Fox was still a black network at the time, despite dipping its toes into the water, white-led shows with the success of Beverly Hills 90210 and Melrose Place. This season saw the cancellation of South Central, which was critically praised, The Sinbad Show, and In Living Color, all in one night. By that point, Bakersfield CA was already canceled. This led to Jesse Jackson even calling for the boycott of the network for institutional racism. The only black shows left on Fox after the season were Martin, which had its second season from 1993 to 1994, and Living Single, the brand new show. The following season, there would be New York Undercover, which was paired with Martin and Living Single because, black. And to be fair, this was a successful lineup. But it was also more prestige drama. And then the other one was Mantis, which was a black superhero show co-created by Sam Raimi and also canceled after one season. All of this is worth noting because, holy cow, is the X-Files white as heck, in front of the camera, behind the camera. This is not to say I didn't enjoy the episode, nor to pretend I don't know what the television landscape was at the time, or what the attempt by the television landscape and Fox at the time was. But it is, I don't know, I honestly kind of find it funny that I went back after watching it the first time. Yeah, I willingly looked back. Please pat me on the back, just to see how many people of color I could find in the episode. I was able to clock the receptionist at the beginning that Dana talks to, and a patient in a bed next to Billy's. Neither of them had lines. And that's just where we're at. I think I will be keeping track, not even because of what Fox was doing, but now it just seems like a good mission to keep my mind off of how scared I am to watch this show. Thank you, Kristin and Jenny. I can't wait to repay you for this one day.
LaToya's lair, LaToya's lair. Hear the whisper, Mom, I'm scared. You can enter if you dare. Welcome to LaToya's lair.
Wow. Thank you, LaToya. So happy to have your lair in the midst of our basement office.
Oh my God. The image of LaToya and now LaToya's dragon sitting in recliners next to each other, just like clicking through old WB shows,
Yes.
That's very delightful. Thank
Correct.
you, LaToya. Cannot wait to find out what we uncover the next time we visit you in your lair.
Kristin, there is a bright light. There are freeze frames.
It breaks the cameras, Jenny. That's how, nothing works. The car doesn't work. The cameras don't work. That's it. We only retain still footage from this. It's like the time I was podcasting with LaToya and the power went out and she just had a freeze frame of me as the lights were going out. That's what happens here.
When Scully and Mulder come back into being, Mulder notes that they just lost 9 minutes. They lost 9 minutes. Thank God he just happened to look at his watch right before that happened. And he hops out of the car and runs along the shoulder to find his big red X from earlier, and he is so happy.
He's like so excited. I wrote in my notes that he sounds like Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka, like when Willy Wonka gets his most excited. Like it's otherworldly how happy Mulder is about this, which leads me to believe that Mulder has never seen a stinky alien baby and never lost time before, because this doesn't seem like something that the man has experienced before. He is so excited, and he says later he's closer than he's ever been. So
yeah, he sure does.
Scully giving me my favorite line maybe in this episode. You're saying time disappeared? It can't disappear. It's a universal invariant. Sounds like a medical doctor, you know?
What's the medical explanation for the car starting itself back up?
That's a ghost, clearly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my God. Can I play the fucking Doogie Howser theme song for this opening shot?
I too have Doogie Howser in my notes, please.
Take me back to a time when computer screens were black and the words were white. That seems way better for the eyeballs, you know?
Yeah, it does sound nice.
Oh, I didn't talk about this before, but I'm going to talk about it now. Scully has her glasses on. She also had her glasses on the plane. I am very happy when Scully has her glasses on. That's all.
It's a good look. It's a good look.
And good.
I'll tell you what, Kristin. Again, I don't think it counts as a spoiler to say there are a lot of really compelling glasses that you have to look forward to over the course of the season.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
All kinds of people are going to wear them. You're going to be so stoked.
Will the smoking man wear glasses?
I cannot confirm nor can I deny.
Oh my God. I hope there's an episode where they put like googly eye glasses on one of the stinky alien babies just for a prank.
Just desperately shoehorning the phrase stinky alien baby into every possible nook and cranny of the pod. I know that when I am typing up a little report narking on my FBI partner in my motel room, the worst thing that could possibly happen is the power going out. Thankfully, this motel is prepared for some reason. They have huge candles available to their clientele.
Yeah,
huge
matching.
Candles.
They're definitely hotel candles because they both have the same candle and the same little crystal bowl. Also, just like small side note, when your computer shut down in 1993, like just in case you're listening to this and you're used to using a computer now where like your computer's like, hey, I remember what happened. You want to go back to what just happened? No, your computer dies in 1993. Everything is fucking it's gone. It's never existed. It's gone. So it's done. Her whole report is done.
Yeah. Her computer, if it ever wakes up again, it will have lost 9 minutes and have no recollection of what occurred in that period of time, for sure.
My next note is bath time. Because what does a lady do when the power goes out? She takes a bath. Yeah.
Except as Scully's getting ready to get in the bath, she notices something on her lower back. She sees some red marks and she starts freaking out and runs over to Mulder's room and asks him to look at them.
Okay, now before we get to Mosquito Town, because I have stuff to talk about there too. But like, here LaToya wrote this. I'm sure it's a thing that is common knowledge. But there's a bit of male gaze happening here in this scene, and in the next scene,
which feels like out of sync.
Yeah.
With the rest of the app.
And also like the choice, because what I love about this scene in her bathroom is that I wrote down, she's wearing very practical undies. They're just practical undies. They're not like, this is not, we didn't talk about some of the other people being considered for the role of Scully, but one of them was Pamela Anderson and bless Pamela Anderson, but that would be a very different direction for Agent Scully. And so I just thought I was happy on the one hand that they did not put her in like teeny tiny underwear, but I was, we were all, I think, a bit aware of the gaze that this camera took as it panned down. And I also am wondering about the choice she made to wear her robe next door because, if I was going to go show my coworker my upper back, I would just throw on my khakis. You know what I mean? Like I would make it so that I could like sort of show that part of my body without like just being basically naked in front of him.
Yeah. Yep.
But LaToya's note here, which is, important, is that there is one female writing credit for the whole first season. And to LaToya's research, it appears that writer simply had the season's mandatory freelance script. She was not on the writing staff. So, we'll keep our eye. We have Jenny, we have a jingle for it already.
We do. We came prepared.
Yeah.
The patriarchy!
Okay. Dr. Mulder is on the case and is quick to pronounce these marks mosquito bites, not alien abduction indicators. Thank God!
Do you think that he knows they're mosquito bites only because there's 3? Like, they look the same, but there's 3. So if there's more than 2, it's mosquitoes. 2, aliens.
These definitely don't look like the mosquito bites I get.
Right. Also, I would like to say, since we just talked about male gaziness, that Mulder does not have the male gaze. Mulder is very respectful of Scully in this scene, in my humble opinion. I like the way that the scene is played. I like that he literally looks, he gives her the information, they sit down. There was nothing in this scene that made me feel icky between the two of them, my opinion.
Kristin, they're on a fast track to best friend town.
They love each other. Okay. They go to commercial, like after she sits down, she's very upset. And maybe you want to talk about that too. But just when they cut back from commercial, she's laying in his bed, which I felt was a choice.
Listen, there are only so many surfaces in a motel room.
That's true. That is actually very true.
Yeah.
And a lot of them you don't want to sit or lay on. So fair.
Correct.
Okay.
So Mulder's telling Scully the story of his sister's disappearance, which happened when he was 12 and she was 8.
Yeah.
And he tells her that nobody in the family would talk about it, and it kind of like tore them apart. He went off to school in England, started working at the bureau, and then he happened upon the X-Files and he read them all.
Oh my God. Now this is where Mulder and Jenny Owen Youngs are very similar. This is exactly what Jenny Owen
Youngs the files
would do.
that begin with X. I want them.
But like you would also just read them all. Like it's not one.
Yeah.
It's, it's none or it's all. So you'd be in your office basement, your basement office, just tearing through those guys.
Mm-hmm.
He discovered, like, he explains the fact that he had the time also, I think, if I understood this correctly, he had the time to do all of this reading and stuff because he was, like, basically just really fucking good at his job. So he just, like, had a ton of spare time to read the X-Files. And classic government. The government has information and they're blocking his access to it. But he has connections in Congress. And so that's the only reason that they have not shut him down entirely. Interesting.
Sure. Yeah. Why not? Totally.
Okay. It's time for Dr. Heinz Werber.
Oh, yeah. Go for it.
No, that was my only introduction. Please, you go for it. I just wanted to say his name, Jenny. That's all I wanted.
Oh, yeah. I know. It's satisfying.
Yeah.
So Mulder has actually done hypnotherapy. He's done some hypnotherapy sessions targeting this incident. And what he has learned from those sessions is that he was in the room when his sister was taken and he was paralyzed and unable to help. This poor boy. This poor boy.
I love that he's opening up to Scully so quickly, That's nice.
He's a sensitive guy.
And this, we've talked about this. This is where he's sharing with her that nothing else matters to him. It's the closest he's gotten. And he is being basically blocked from information by the government, which, like, to me, as a medical doctor, this is when I would stop doing that. When I hear the government doesn't want me to do this thing. They're really trying to make sure I don't get access to this information. This medical doctor would be like, I wish you the best of luck. I'm going to be over here. I don't want to fuck with that shit. Teresa calls and says that Peggy is dead.
We cut to the scene of Peggy's death. R.I.P. Peggy.
Maybe a better way to go, because like, how did Karen even die? Like, what are the alien deaths, and are they preferable or less preferable to getting hit by a truck?
Unknown. Unknown. What's interesting about Peggy's death is that a man who was driving a truck and struck her says that she was running in front of the truck. Mm-hmm. So previously, everyone was under the impression that that was not possible.
Mulder is like, she ran on foot. Like, he like really wants to make sure we're all talking about the same thing here.
Yeah.
Scully sees what time her fucking watch says, Jenny. What time does her fucking watch say?
It says 9:03. This is 9:03. And beep, Kristin, when it rains, it pours. Beep, while all this is going on, Mulder finds out that that the casket corpse has been stolen. And then as they get back to the motel, it's on fire. Scully says, with a casualness that I can't imagine, there goes my computer.
Well, I mean, she had already lost the file, so.
Yeah, true. And along with it, the x-rays and the photographs.
Is anyone else mad at Jenny for calling it the casket corpse and not the stinky alien baby? Because I am. Okay, continue.
I'm not getting on your train. I'm not getting on your train, Kristin.
That's fine. I'm going to have plenty of people on my stinky alien baby train.
Okay.
Oh my God, we get to go to a diner, making this even more like Twin Peaks, because Teresa Newman is there and she's like, you have to protect me.
Sorry.
Oh, I know. I didn't know. Please correct me, because I want it to be Newman. Every time I wrote it down in my notes, I wrote Newman. It's Nemen. You're right. Teresa Newman. Let's take her to the diner. She needs some fucking rye toast with butter, and she needs some tissues for her fucking nose, because guess what? The aliens got her too.
Here's a nosebleed. She tells them she wakes up in the woods all the time, which, no thank you.
Yeah.
And as they're chatting, who should bust in but Detective Miles? Billy Miles's father, actually.
Bum, bum, bum.
And her dad, the medical examiner.
These fuckers know something, is basically what Scully says. But like, they clearly do. Like, Teresa says that her dad knows about the marks and has told her not to tell anyone because he's trying to protect her.
Mulder decides that the most reasonable course of action is for them to dig up the other two graves and find out what kind of critters are in those caskets. But when they get to the cemetery, they find that someone has already beaten them to it. Terrible news.
Terrible news. Who the fuck dug up these graves? I mean, we don't get the answer to that, but we do get the answer to who. This is when it occurs. Not occurs, but like when Mulder is like, I know who fucking did it. I know who killed Karen. It was Billy. I love this scene. This is, I think, my favorite scene in the whole episode. Luckily for me, because it seems like it's going to rain a lot, I love a scene in the rain. I love a love scene in the rain. I love an argument in the rain. I love two new best friends from the FBI laughing their asses off because what is happening in the rain? And that's what's happening here. Mulder is like, clearly like, I think Billy did it. And Scully is like, what are you talking about? Like, how could Billy have done this? And he's like, time lost and the forest controls them and the aliens did tests and it makes the marks and the marks are genetic mutations. And then in the rain, let's just listen to Scully. Let's just listen to Gillian Anderson reply to her new best friend.
And the force summoned Teresa Newman's body into the woods tonight.
Yes, but it was Billy Miles who took her there. Summoned by some alien impulse. That's it.
Well,
they go back to the hospital to check in on Billy Miles, and this boy's feet are covered in dirt.
Also,
not just any dirt, Kristin.
Sooty dirt. Ashy dirt.
Ashy, earthen, residue covers his foot pads.
I just I feel like, I don't mean to yuck any yums here, but I just feel like put some glove, just like a glove. A glove would help me with this scene. The amount of bare hands on this boy's dirty feet is just a lot for me to handle.
She's trying to get to the truth, Kristin.
Oh, yeah, she is. She's
no time for gloves.
Scraping some of this dirt into a little baggie, I guess. But then so they go to the fucking hallway and she lost the original ashy dirt. So now they have to go back to the forest.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
This exchange feels important though, because Scully is like, I can't believe this. And Mulder's pointing to his poster on the wall. But he's like, you have to write it down. She's like, but you already said it yourself, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, you literally, I don't know if you forgot why you're here, but you have to write this down. And then she's like, fuck, I got to go put more dirt in my pockets, So then off to the forest they go.
Okay. When you're on a case, and you can smell blood in the water, you're getting close to the truth, there's only one thing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Run through the woods at top speed in the dark with a flashlight until you trip and fall at the feet of Detective Miles. So he can say, I told you to stay out of this, before he scoots over and bumps into Mulder.
Did you have any musician feelings about this fucking score? Because I wrote the score. It was bumping right here. It was going off for this run.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to just be honest here and tell you that I don't really understand what happens in the next few moments. So,
okay.
I mean, I can tell you that Mulder says to the detective, okay, fair. And then the detective sees Billy with Teresa in what are we going to call this little spot? The landing pad? Is that the name of this area?
Yeah. The landing pad, sure.
Says, no, Billy, leave her alone. Interesting, because what was he doing there before? And then he goes to, ? Shoot his son to stop him from doing the thing? What is he? Is he going to shoot the aliens? Are they there? What is happening, Jenny?
Listen... Some people say, live by the sword, die by the sword. Work in an environment where you're trained to solve problems with a gun. Attempt to solve all problems with a gun.
Okay.
Even if you don't know what you're doing or why.
Okay, sure.
Don't know what your plan is.
Sure. But then everybody is better. And I also don't understand.
Yeah, there's a bright flash of light. And then Billy and Teresa are just still there. Billy's marks are gone. Everything is quiet. Scully got, after she recovered from her fall, okay, she walked very slowly towards the blinding light. But then before she crested the ridge, she said to herself, I'm close enough. This is fine. I don't need to look any closer than this.
She said, there's 200 and something episodes to go. I can't look yet.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a screaming note from me here. The way that Scully and Mulder touch each other in this scene. Mulder comes back down. Scully meets him. And how knights would sort of shake each other's hands, but they would shake it to the elbow. It was do you have a knife? No, you don't. I don't either. Great. It's that, but on each other's hips, kind of. It's nice. I liked it. And she says there was a light, and he says it was incredible. And it just feels good. I love them.
Yeah. It's great.
Oh my God, it's almost time for another significant eye contact cue, Jenny.
I can't wait.
Take us to the next scene if you're ready.
So back at FBI headquarters, Billy Miles is being questioned under hypnosis, under the direction of Mulder's doctor. What's his name, Kristin?
Dr. Hans Verber.
And he explains that the light gave him orders, took him away to the testing place, put something in his head. From behind the glass, Scully and cigarette smoking man are watching.
And when Billy finishes his testimony, Mulder looks. Now, this is one-way glass, right?
Not if you're Mulder and Scully.
Exactly. They make significant eye contact through the one-way glass.
It's incredible.
Unbelievable.
It's incredible. They can't be contained, Kristin. They simply cannot.
I'll tell you what, I didn't even realize it was one-way glass till right now. That was just me I was like, wow, look at them. And I just realized how powerful it was. Wow. Sadly, like for me, I'm like, great. The episode's finished here at significant eye contact. But sadly, the FBI dudes have to get back involved.
They're not pleased with Scully's reporting. They're like, prove it. And she's like, well, actually, here is this implant that I took from the nasal cavity of Ray Soames' exhumed body. If that was Ray Soames. She says she ran a, quote, lab test and the material could not be identified. Mm-hmm. Not exactly sure.
Her at-home lab, Jenny.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
She's a fucking medical doctor.
No, I know. Totally.
I like a character like this, you know, like like she's not trying to say that she has more than she has. Like she's very honest and very direct with these dudes. And she's like, no, you're correct. My report is personal and subjective. I cannot substantiate the time loss. I don't have this. I don't have that. But I have this one thing. Like she does her job. She like literally does it. If it were me, I would have like hidden the probe and like tried to figure out what I was supposed to do because I would already be in my own, you know, drama television show. So
back at Scully's place.
Wait, she says the material could not be identified in her at-home lab. And she also says Agent Mulder believes we are not alone. And then she walks by the smoking man in the hallway.
She does.
He's so excited. Oh, I can't wait to talk about the smoking man and his filing system. We'll get there.
Okay. Later at home in bed, in some mini blind angel lighting.
Literally my note. More angel lighting. There's a lot of it in the episode.
Scully's laying in bed and Mulder calls and says that the paperwork they filed is gone and the file on Billy Miles doesn't exist. Classic.
Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boo.
Exactly. And Scully says they'll talk about it tomorrow, which means they're still partners and best friends. Okay. Elsewhere, across town
in a Pentagon warehouse.
Yeah, in the Pentagon warehouse, cigarette smoking man is walking through this vast storage facility. He comes to a very specific little section. Mm-hmm. He takes the nasal cavity implant from his jacket and puts it into what I can only assume is a vessel that he got from the little nasal cavity objects section of the Container Store, you know, because he's got a whole bunch of them. He's working on completing his collection.
He's so fucking close. He only needs one more.
Yeah.
Also, I just want you to know that I refer to these as the nose files, not to be confused with the X-Files.
Okay.
These are the nose files. This is so satisfying also. Like, I would love to be collecting small items and putting them in this, like, plexiglass sealed... it's very delicious.
Yeah.
Very satisfying. But yeah.
We see him walking out through this, like, long aisle, high shelves. Think of all the things contained in this warehouse. And then he, like... leaves through a door and it closes behind him and has a map of the Pentagon on the door. And it's like, you are here. Here are the exits. This is the Pentagon. Now, Kristin,
yes.
I would like you to write down this little map of the Pentagon on this little door in your Scully report laptop diary. Okay? Just file it away.
Scully.
Don't forget to save and shut down properly.
Laptop. Screen. Could you make a screen grab in 93? We'll just call it a a drawing. I'll just make a hand drawing of the Pentagon. Got it. Great.
Perfect.
Oh, Jenny, something about this scene is that, like, there's the X-Files, but Mulder has those. So these are different files. These are a different kind of file. These are extensions of the X-File. They're double X and triple X files.
Well, these are more like, it seems like more artifacts and evidence and stuff.
Connected to
versus,
the X-Files.
Yeah, versus like files in a filing cabinet.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Okay, so dare we, having reached the end of the episode, dare we take a little stroll over to a segment that we've decided to bring forward from Buffering the Vampire Slayer into the X-Files, the Sexual Tension Awards.
Emphasis on the EX.
Yeah.
Sexual Tension Award.
If you're just joining us for the first time, we spent 7 seasons of Buffy hand-picking couplings or occasionally thruplings or beyond from every episode of people and or entities and or things that we felt that there was just like a lot of, crackling excitement and energy.
Things
between.
Being pulled towards each other. Just couldn't stay apart from each other.
Yes, exactly. So we welcome you warmly to the very first installment of the X-Files Sexual Tension Awards for Season 1, Episode 1, Pilot. Here are the noms.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
In slot number 1, I mean, it's just right. It's just screaming off the screen, off the page. It's in your soul. It's in your blood. It's under your fingernails. Who could be at the top of this list but Special Agents Dana Scully and Fox Mulder?
Do they have a ship name? Like, is it Skulder? Is it Mully?
I don't know.
I don't like either of those, so we'll do some research and find out.
Oh, actually, Kristin, this is great.
So it's going to be good when Jenny clears her throat like that.
Because the ship... Wow, this is so good. Because the ship was created before name combining and name smashing became popular, the ship is referred to as either Mulder/Scully, the Mothership, or MSR, which stands for Mulder-Scully Romance.
Oh, that's way better than the 2 smash names, so that's great.
Yeah, I love it.
For what it's worth, I just want everyone to know that I can research next to nothing because, like, I could literally never Google what Jenny just Googled because I am attempting to stay unspoiled.
Yeah, you're not allowed to Google anything.
Yeah.
Stay away.
I won't, I promise. Except for twin paradox theory by Einstein.
Oh, yeah. That was cool of you to do.
All right. What do you got?
In slot number 2. I think this might be Kristin's number 1 pick. It's Scully and her glasses.
Yeah. It would win if it was Kristin and Scully and her glasses for sure.
In slot number 3, this speaks to me. I'm a big fan of a place for everything and everything in its place. Organization can, at its peak, certainly imbue me with a very real sense of euphoria. And
which
perhaps
is how Jenny says, turn me on.
Perhaps this combo enjoys the same energetic reward. It's the smoking man and his filing system. We love it.
For the listener at home, Jenny is tapping all 10 of her fingers up against each other. Just tap, 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 tap.
And in the 4th slot, your final nom, you know that kind of attraction where you simply just cannot stay away. You cannot stay away from each other, even if you know Even if you know you're no good. No good can come of this unholy union. Still, you must be in one another's embrace. It's the class of 89 and the Woods.
Are you saying that the Woods is the problematic fave of the class of 1989?
I guess that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
If you're new, welcome aboard. We would love for you to make your voice heard in our beautiful democracy here on the eX-Files. Please cast your vote in our Sexual Attention Awards for this episode. Find the poll via our Twitter at BufferingCast and let us know which of these pairings or groupings has the most appeal to your true heart.
Welcome aboard the SS Sexual Tension is what I thought you were going to say.
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
Sexual Attention Award.
All right. Well, here we are on the other side of sexual tension.
Here we are. We've talked about the episode. We've talked about the STAs. And now, Kristin, it's time. I must bid you gaze into your crystal ball, your Kristin's ball, if you will, and tell me what's next. What do you think is going to happen? What do you see ahead of us in this season, or even in just the next episode, however far into the future you wish to look?
Kristin's crystal ball, she can see it all. What's coming down the pike, I'm sure she'll get it right.
I imagine that we'll stay in the town of Bellefleur, Oregon, because there's a whole mystery here. What happened to the class of 89? What happened in the Woods? I'm hoping we learn a lot more about it. I have some theories that will all be wrong, but maybe they won't, you know? Every once in a while, if you throw enough things at the wall, however the saying goes, I think, that the aliens made a deal with the detective and who's the other guy? Oh, and the medical examiner. Nemen and Detective Miles. I think that they are in on something because the idea that Dr. Nemen says to Teresa, don't tell anybody because he wants to protect her. What if he was told, like, if he keeps things hush hush, that then his daughter can live. Like, she won't be summoned to the woods, but then it all blew up, and that was the end for Teresa. So I think that the aliens did some kind of deal with the detective, and
okay,
and then also, you know how in the mafia, in The Sopranos, Adriana, right? She was in the mafia, but then the FBI said, "Come over here and give us your secrets, but just pretend that you're still with the family, and then you can you'll be an informant, right?" So I think the smoking man is an alien, but he's I haven't figured it out. Okay, I haven't figured it all out. I just feel like there's some kind of an informant situation. The smoking man is definitely not like part of the FBI. He feels like something outside of that, big time. And so I feel like perhaps he's disguising himself as have you ever seen that show 30 Rock from the Sun? Those aliens made themselves look just like people. So
30 Rock from the Sun, yes.
What's it called?
Third Rock
from the Sun. You know what I'm talking about.
Okay. So just to recap,
30 Rock from the Sun was a great show where in Rockefeller Center there were aliens.
Oh my God. What Kristin sees in her crystal ball is the following.
Yes.
We're going to be setting up camp in Bellefleur, Oregon for the foreseeable future to get to the bottom of this mystery.
Yes.
The smoking man is not actually a part of the FBI and is probably an alien. And also the aliens have made a deal with the detective and the medical examiner.
Yeah, the people
That's
of
what
power.
That's what we've got cooking in our X-Files stew right now.
Yep. And Scully and Mulder will continue to absolutely just adore each other.
Kristin's crystal ball, she can see it all. What's coming down the pike, I'm sure she'll get it right.
Wow, great roundup of predictions, Kristin.
Thank
really
you.
incredible stuff. 10 out of 10.
Thank you.
So I would say that the status of this X-File is closed.
Wow. We did. I mean, we did do it. If the X-File was about will they do a pilot episode, we did.
We did it.
Hooray!
Well, what a delight. I can't wait to do this 209 more times.
No. You can't. Don't look ahead. Just simply be present right here at this moment.
Beautiful friends. I'm Jenny Owen Youngs, and when I'm not watching The X-Files or Buffy, I'm usually making music, including my latest EP, which is called It's Dangerous to Go Alone. You can hear it in all of the places, Bandcamp, Spotify, wherever you listen to music. You can give me a shout on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at Jenny Owen Youngs. Anytime. Hooray!
Hooray! I'm Kristin Russo, and you can find me on socials or on my website by using my first and my middle name. If you're new to the podcast, you waited for the X-Files. Well, you're about to learn that one of the biggest X-Files is her username Kristin Online, or is it not? It is not. It is Kristin Nolene. My middle name is Nolene, like Noel, but with an I-N-E. Jenny made me a jingle, so you'll all remember how to spell it.
Kristin with an I, Noeline.
So you can use that spelling. Find me on Twitter. Find me on Instagram. I am not on TikTok, though. I guess I technically am on TikTok because I follow one person, and it's Jenny Owen Youngs. I don't even know what that means as of this date. And when I'm not watching Buffy or the X-Files, I am usually working with LGBTQ communities. I do a lot of speaking engagements, specifically at workplaces these days, talking about being good to LGBTQ folks in the workplace, and also just talking about being a great parent to kids, no matter their sexuality or gender identity. You can find out more on my website, KristinNolene.com.
Buffering a Rewatch adventure is on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at BufferingCast.
You can support us by, of course, leaving us an iTunes review, but it wouldn't be supportive if it wasn't a good one. You can go to our store and you can buy some of our fun new merch. We've got new X-Files merch, of course, a gorgeous enamel pin that is a little UFO, and the logo tee, all of that designed by Devin Power. And of course, we are attempting in the year 2023 to go ad-free. Not an easy thing for a podcast to do these days. So if you want to support us on Patreon, we are on Patreon, patreon.com/bufferingcast. You can also find everything on our website, bufferingcast.com.
This episode was produced by Kristin Russo, Jenny Owen Youngs, and LaToya Ferguson, with support from our consultant, Mackenzie McDade. It was edited by John Mark Nelson. And till next time, the pod is out there.
God, cannot wait to release the footage of us trying that 12 times to nail it.
Hi, I'm Dana Schwartz, and this is Rise or Die, the official companion podcast for Peacock's original series, Those About to Die. On this podcast, I go behind the scenes with the show's cast and creators to learn how they brought their brutal vision of Rome to life. I talked to acclaimed director and executive producer Roland Emmerich,
When I saw the first race, I was like giddy.
actor Ewan Ryan,
For an actor, that's a dream, although you do get a lot of sand in your sandals.
and so many more.
You helped summon those ghosts back onto that stage.
Every day when I went to set, I was giggling about what I saw.
I think it's going to be a breathtaking thing.
Gosh, people will freak out.
Rise or Die launches on July 18th. Watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.
A bloodbath tonight in the rural town of Chinook.
Everyone here is hiding a secret.
4 more victims found scattered.
Some worse than others.
I came as fast as I could. I'm Deputy Ruth Vogel.
And soon, my quiet life will never be the same.
Realm presents a 30 Ninjas production, Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.